The Detroit Lakes City Council held a special meeting on Wednesday morning of last week in order to discuss what could be the future of the Detroit Lakes Pavilion. Now, the Detroit Lakes Pavilion is a jewel of downtown Detroit Lakes, the beachfront, and the city park. It's been around for 97 years, and many people throughout the community have extreme fond attachment to the pavilion, and it's served the community extremely well, but is in need of repair. Now, back in 2005 and 2006, the city of Detroit Lakes did receive some grant money in order to make some repairs to the pavilion. Those repairs were then made, but apparently it just wasn't enough. The pavilion still needs some repairs. And being a gem in Detroit Lakes, what's the city council? What is the city to do? I don't think we have any choice but to, well, fix it up and make it usable in some way. And in fact, that is what the Detroit Lakes City Council decided to do. However, I don't think they're going far enough with this. And this is why. The City Council basically approved one of four options. The first option was to do some basic drainage repair, and that would be about it, and hopefully that would take away some of the problems. The second option would to be some drainage repair and also replace some of the rotting wood, the windows, and maybe shore up the foundation a little bit more, and so forth. A third option would have been to turn it into a Four Seasons pavilion, winterize it, allow it to be used all year long. That would have cost quite a bit of money, though. And the fourth option was to bulldoze it and rebuild the pavilion altogether. That was the most expensive option. To rebuild would probably have been about $2.5 million. To turn it into a winterized facility would have probably been between $800,000 and $1 million. To do option two, which is ultimately what the City Council elected to do, is between $350,000 and $400,000. Now, I like the fact the city is addressing it, and I like the fact the city is trying to be, I believe, conservative in the way they're spending their money. However, this is not something the city, in my opinion, needs to be conservative on. This is a city building, a landmark in the community, a pillar and well used within our town, and has been for nearly 100 years. And I don't know why we're going to put this amount of money, $350,000 to $400,000 for the repair, although the City Council has authorized up to $750,000 for repair work, and that's depending on some grant money, some tie-ins depending on the biking trail, and some other factors. My point is they have authorized almost as much money as it would take to actually winterize the Detroit Lakes Pavilion. So what is going to happen? What are we going to do? Well, it looks like the city is going to go with option two. Again, I like it except for one thing. We're basically putting a bunch of money into an old building still. I really would have preferred option 3 or 4, personally. Either rebuild it bigger and better than it ever was, or make it usable all year round. Because here's my point. These up to $750,000 we may spend. Some of it could be grant money, some of it may not be, who knows. Let's just pretend, though, and assume that the city's going to be on the hook for it all. Not that I don't think we can't find the money somewhere, not that I don't think it's a responsibility of the city to take care of it. But are we really spending our money wisely? Are we putting the money into a building that's going to be good for another 50 to 100 years? I don't know. Maybe these repairs will be good enough to do that. I hope they are. However, I almost guarantee, had we built a new building or done the extensive renovation or refurbishing, I believe we would have a building there on the beachfront that could last for 50 years. The fact that they're going to redo the building with new windows and everything and not address the insulation factor tells me we're going to be dealing with rotting windows again and what, 5, 10, 15, 20 years? Not quite sure how long it's going to take for the windows to rot, but I think it's a problem that'll come back because why? The building's still not insulated. You're going to have moisture still get trapped in there at the extreme temperatures between winter and summer, etc., right off the beachfront, and you're going to still have those issues. I think the City Council is being too politically conservative on this particular building. We find millions of dollars to rebuild a liquor store. We'll find hundreds of thousands of dollars to redo the downtown parking lot. We'll find hundreds of thousands of dollars to put colored concrete in town. But yet the infrastructure that's been here for generations, the infrastructure that people come back to over and over again and gives people their fond memories and feelings of Detroit Lakes, we're going to do on the cheap. And that's my only real concern and complaint with this. Not that we're not doing something. I don't think we're doing enough. Again, we can't overextend the city of Detroit Lakes at the expense of the infrastructure we already have here in town. And I hope that this doesn't turn out to be one of those scenarios. Regardless, I will look forward once the pavilion does get its facelift.